Hitman 2-3, this is Hitman 2. What's the status? Over. 2-3, stand by. Goliath, this is 2 Bravo. Request permission to engage enemy paratroopers and attempt to snatch a grid Papa Uniform 259er, 119er. Break. Enemy is unaware of our presence at this time. Over. Solid copy. Hitman 2-3, Echo 5 Foxtrot. This is Hitman 2.
Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Ben Powers coming up from the Commander's Voice. I'm very excited because we've got friend of show George Luz Jr. back with us. It's always a treat to have you here, George. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks so much, Ben. It's been a long time.
So anyway, it has been a long time, and you've been up to a whole lot. You've been traveling the world. We've been talking for months, if not a year, about getting you back on, and I'm really interested in hearing what you've been up to and seeing some of the things you've been presenting at your different shows. So please take it away.
Ben, it's been a busy year, man. It's been amazing. You know, I've had 5 trips with my buddy Chris Anderson with Steve Ambrose Historical Tours. I've done 17 speeches this year. And I've begun doing some of the younger audience folks. My last 2 speeches, one was in the Netherlands. I did a college in the Netherlands recently. And then just prior to that, I had done a speech here in Rhode Island at Bishop Hendricken High School. It's a Catholic all-boys school. So it was interesting to share the message with these younger kids. It was great. Very well behaved. However, they didn't get my humor. They didn't get my humor. I didn't get it. It's like they were really paying attention. Everything was very poignant. I worked really hard on it. They didn't get my humor. So not much you can do in that case.
The youngest generation definitely has a unique sense of humor. That's for sure. I see it with my own kids. But in any event, I get your humor, George, and it's always a pleasure to swap jokes with you. Well, you have been very generous in providing some footage and some video clips that you're going to share with us today, including a couple things I've never seen before. So I'm really excited about that. So if you give me a second, I'm going to go ahead and kind of share what you have put together and have been showing to audiences in your different presentations, and then we'll just kind of roll through that. So you ready?
Let's go. Ben, before we get started, I really want to thank you. Guys like yourself, my buddy Mark from Mark's Game Room, guy named Rob, Movie Rob. You guys are all kind of giving me an opportunity to share the stories. But what you're doing more is you're providing me, I've got to use my brain a little bit more. And I've been more and more looking into more and more stories. So I really have to credit you for helping me out here doing this stuff. And can't thank you enough.
Hey, I appreciate the call out, and I appreciate the friendship we've established.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great. So I worked with, for the 80th anniversary, I worked with the American Battle Monument Commission, ABMC, who takes care of cemeteries all over the world for our veterans, our soldiers. And they came to Rhode Island and they wanted to do some work prior to the 80th anniversary. And they wanted me to tell the story of my dad and the men he served with. So the first thing you're going to pull up there is it's like a 5-minute clip, and it just kind of tells the story of my dad and the men he served with.
When people ask me to describe my father, he went full blast the whole way. And that's how I'm going to remember him. My name is George Luz Jr., and my dad was George Luz, who served in World War II. He was in the airborne. He joined in 1942. And it wasn't until much later I realized why he joined the airborne.
I was 21 years old, and I was working and I was making about $16 a week. Yeah. And when they said it's $50 on extra,
He raised his hand. And my dad was just like that.
and I just jumped at my father, just cried.
So they trained for almost 2 years, a couple of months shy of 2 years before they jumped into combat. They were very in tune to each other and they knew their movements. So that had really brought the closeness together, where it wasn't as if they were just throwing guys together to form these units to go and fight the Nazis. It was a much different environment, and it was a band of brothers. My father jumped about 1:30 in the morning on June 6th. The plane was too low, it was too fast. The fire coming up was so thick. It was like you could walk on it. There was so much anti-aircraft fire coming up. And as he was coming down, I remember him saying that, that the shots coming up, man, he could see guys getting hit. He was very fortunate enough to not get hit. When I look at the courage that my dad and his buddies had, you wonder, you put yourself in that place and you say, how would I react in something like that? It was quite extraordinary to think about the 3 years that he served with these guys, how that shaped him moving forward for the rest of his life. They saw the worst of humanity. And they would have done anything for each other. These guys loved each other to a point that we can never really understand. I usually go to Normandy several times a year. Going there, it's stunning when you come walking in and walking along by the monument, and then the water, and then the flags, and then off in the distance, the graves, and then to walk amongst them and look at the names and look where they came from. And just think that their life was cut short and they sacrificed for all of us. And then I think about how many of those young men and women have never had a family member come to that grave and stand over it. So in a very small way, I try to be that person. Just be that person to stand over that grave and acknowledge that person, that sacrifice that they made. And it's just a very poignant place, a very solemn place, but a very uplifting place too. You really get an understanding of the sacrifice in looking at every one of those graves, which represents someone who didn't come home. If there was one message for future generations, it would be never forget and remember them. Here's my dad to the left, and then just all the guys my dad served. We can learn so much from the men and women that served, not only in World War II, but in every war. And they all have a story to tell. And it's our responsibility to tell those stories, because people will not be forgotten as long as we keep talking about them.
Yeah, that was very powerful.
It certainly was. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Very proud to be able to do that. And that's the message, whenever I go out there, when I was speaking to those kids or I'm on a cruise ship or anywhere, it's like, you got to just tell those stories. And I try to tell people that every one of us has a story.
Going back to what you were talking about in the Battle Monument Commission clip there, George, I really appreciate the idea that so many of those young soldiers their families either maybe not don't even know that that is where they're buried, or they don't have family in this day and age that can come visit or can afford to visit, and you kind of assume that role. That is actually huge, and I had never really considered it that way. So, uh, and you kind of not only are you a legacy for your dad and the men he served with, but you're sort of a surrogate family to the soldiers who are buried overseas. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate, with all the travel I do with Steve Ambrose, they put me in these places. And so I get a chance to do that. And, that grave there that I visited, that grave was Walter Gunter. And Walter was from Waltham, Massachusetts,
Uh,
if you're
only a few
familiar
miles
with.
from where I grew up.
Yeah, yeah. So Walter Gunter, and I met his daughter named Sue. And Sue was born 2 days after they left Camp Shanks,
Oh wow.
New York, for Liverpool, England. And I met her several years ago. Hope to see her at next year's reunion,
Oh,
and
fantastic.
along with his nephew Kenny Gunther too. And I talked to Kenny recently, and but yeah, so that's a grave I visit all the time. But yeah, when I'm going from grave to grave with Ambrose Tours, we visit all of the Easy Company guys, and along with others, I'll look at every grave that I go by and just look at the name, look at where they're from, maybe touch the top of the grave. And yeah, when you think about it, so many guys are there. And when when you're in Luxembourg and you walk from one side to the other, you really, the gravity of it, the sheer numbers of guys and gals. I met the only woman who was buried in Luxembourg recently, and Nancy was her name. And but anyway, it's just very powerful for me to do that. I'm just totally blessed.
Oh, that's amazing. Now we're gonna set up this next clip.
Yeah, so this is this was in episode one, and it leads into the second one, which you saw a little piece of. And this is Maynard, this is Maynard talking about why he joined.
Here for the Air Force, who would like to volunteer for Navy or whatever. And then they said, who would like to volunteer for the Airborne? The guy said, well, you jump out of airplanes. You got all your Army equipment, you jump out of airplanes to fight the enemy. They said, go to hell. Nobody put up their hands. And then I don't know what it was brought it up, but the guy giving the speech was saying, but you get paid $50 a month more. So that made it $100.
Yeah, and you got to realize all these guys grew up in a depression. But that's a great one. Bill and his wife, and actually his wife is still alive.
Oh wow.
Rose Maynard. I've got to give her, yeah, I've got to give her a call. Actually, I talked to Hank Zimmerman's wife recently. So, and his daughter, Hank Zimmerman's wife, his name's Millie. And Penny, when I had an event in Pennsylvania, she was able to come to the event. It was great to see her again, and focused on her dad at that particular speech. And then let's see, who else is there? And there's Ed Tipper's wife,
Okay.
Rosie. I've talked to Rosie here in the air. So, he's try to stay in touch with all the E-Company family, let's say.
It's amazing how close you guys all remain. So
Yeah.
let's continue on.
Yeah, so this next clip over here. So this is you saw a little bit of it, but this is why my dad joined. There was that mention in the reading about the article in Life magazine. Well, that was not my dad's inspiration. So this is a complete of what his thoughts were.
I went in 1942. I was 21 years old, and I was working on the house making, I don't know, about $16 a week. Yeah. And when they said it's $50 a month extra, then I just jumped up. My father just cried. He didn't want me to go. He said, I don't want you doing that,
Just like Maynard.
Yeah, really, really. So much for the romance of it all. But and then this next one over here, I just wanted to show, more of the guys. This was in Toccoa. My dad front and center. Bob Rader's the tall guy way to the right. Left-hand side, the shorter guy is J.D. Henderson. And I think that was an early photo, wouldn't you say?
No, you're definitely right. And we were talking about this a little bit before. You can tell it's an early photo because they don't have their parachute badges yet. Nor do they have jump boots with their trousers bloused into them. They're wearing the low quarter shoes that all soldiers wore. But the big tell for me is if you look at their lapels, they do not have their discs on there, their branch and U.S. discs. So they may not even have been issued those yet. They may have just drawn those uniforms earlier today. Uh, so this is definitely an early days kind of shot for sure.
Well, you might be right because they all got brand new uniforms. Hey, let's go take a picture.
Exactly.
I don't
As
see any
young men will
wrinkles
do.
there,
Yeah.
right? I certainly don't see any wrinkles there. So,
Yeah, and they definitely looking, you can tell the physical conditioning is already paying off. Now they were all, young wiry guys anyway coming out of the depression. I doubt any of them had, problems with being overweight, but you can see they're filling out the chest. They got the broad shoulders and the trim waists. They're looking good for sure. Running Curry, he'll do that to you.
well, yeah. Well, plus living in a depression, there wasn't a lot of extra food. Wasn't a lot of extra food, man. So maybe a lot of carbohydrates, but not a lot of extra food. So
Understood.
that's for sure. That's for sure. So, but and then so yeah, so this next one here is Robert Brewer. And this is a scene from in Holland, and we're all very familiar with this one. And let's let this one roll.
How's he doing? He's quite a target, don't he? Bang. Lieutenant!
So George, as the folks who love Band of Brothers, I think that's an episode 4 clip, and people absolutely love Bull and they love Hoob, and a lot of people probably don't even recognize who the medic was because everybody thinks Doc Rowe when they think medic, but who actually went up to help Lieutenant Brewer?
Well, that was Al Manfrey. Well, there were several actually. Al Manfrey was one of them. And it's interesting to listen to the perspectives of the guys. Now, a next clip, and we're going to get to Al, which is great. But our next clip is going to be an audio clip of Walter Gordon, who was also there, and he's going to give his view of how it went. And there's a bit of humor in this one as well.
And we advanced across an open field going into Eindhoven. Near me was Lieutenant Bob Brewer. He was accompanying us across this open stretch, and he got shot in the head. He goes down. We take a look at him. We had been instructed we could not attend to wounded because it was an open field. Someone said, "Oh hell, forget him. He's gone anyhow. Look, he's dead. Or he's gonna die anyhow. Look, and he heard all this, and we proceeded on, left Brewers lying there, and then he has a very colorful tale that he relates, telling what happened after we left. He bears no animosity toward us. He understands."
So now I've got Walter's entire tape of his interview with Steve Ambrose prior to the book. So just listening to Walter and the way he articulates these things is pretty funny. But yeah, so that is Walter's point of view. Now we're talking about Al Manfrey. This is a video clip of Al, and I remember when he told me this story. And after he had passed away, I asked his daughter, I said, hey, is that anywhere that I can get a video clip of that? And she said, yeah, you certainly can.
All
And
right.
Roy Hill from Brownell Firearms was very helpful in plugging me into where this video was. So this is Al Manfrey telling the story from his perspective.
I think the memorable experience I had was when I was out taking care of Lieutenant Brewer out in the middle of a field when we were heading towards Eindhoven, and I was with the battalion surgeon, and we're in this sparse woods. And you can see everybody, and they're calling for a medic. I says, that's E Company. Why are we getting? I got a medic in every platoon. So I said, I'm going up to see what's going on. He said, goodbye. I never saw him anymore after that. Come to think. Anyway, I went up to the edge of the woods and there was a ditch there. And I said, what's the problem? They're pointing out there. I said, who's that lying out there? He was out in the middle of the field. The guy lying out there looked like Ted Danson, the big, tall, skinny guy. Yeah. And he was leading his platoon across that field like John Wayne, waving his map case, come on, boys, let's go. Well, target for today, So the Germans shot him right through the neck. Oh, good. They thought his troops thought he was dead, and they left him there and went back, fell back into the wood. And then so I was walking, I was hurting anyway. So I just walked out there and it was quiet. And I sat down next to him, told him who I was and that I would take care of him. I've heard a crack. And I said, gee, they broke the bottle. No, it's okay. I never dawned on me they were shooting at me. And then the dirt starts kicking up all around me. And I lie down next to him. I said, in my best bedtime manner, I said, Lieutenant, are you dead? Because if you're dead, I'm leaving. He said, he croaked out, no, I don't know why. And I said, okay, I'll stay right here. And then 3 other guys came out to help and they got shot. Oh, man. And there were 6 of us all told when the thing was over.
I love paratrooper humor, soldier humor in general.
You did. So, and then one of the cool things was, when I was looking at this, and I must thank HBO for all these great scenes that, we can talk about and add a little flavor from the real guys. I said, I got to find his family. So I reached out. It took me a little while, but I wasn't going to give up. And I kept looking and calling numbers and this and that. And I finally found his kids. And they're like my age and a little older, a little younger. So anyway, I just talked to him like 2 days ago. And it was really great. So, and they're sending me all kinds of cool stuff about Brewer. And, I got to read some of the stuff, because you only see Brewer in a couple of scenes or that scene. But the guy was amazing. So I just want to read a little bit about him. So, okay. So after, he recovered, he actually came back to the company. War was over. He got home. He married his high school sweetheart, spent a year in college, but, he decided that college wasn't really for him. So what he did was he rejoined the Army. This time he accepted an offer from the OSS, and which was a forerunner to the CIA. And he runs into Amos Buck Taylor, who was also in the CIA. And, these CIA guys, they don't really say much. And Buck was like that. Buck was like that for sure. So he ends up resigning up. He's in the CIA now, in the kind of a military clandestine type thing. He ends up in Japan, Korea, Pakistan, Philippines, Vietnam, Burma, Laos, and Thailand.
Amazing.
Right. So he ends up in all these unbelievable places doing all this unbelievable work. So he retires in 1973, and then he goes back, not goes back, and then he gets back into civilian life. So it was really cool to talk to his kids just the other day. They sent me all kinds of stuff. They also sent me a map of where his dad got shot. So I'm looking forward to going there when I go with my buddy Chris, going back to that particular area and to see what field he got shot at. Oh, it could be a shopping center now. Who
Oh,
knows?
exactly. Who knows? So,
But just to be there to see that, and they've sent me all kinds of really cool information about his dad, about their dad, and how he was. And so anyway, yeah, so he retired and he got together with his reunion buddies and things like that. So, and we got a picture afterwards too. But this is such a great shot, and you can kind of see how tall he was.
oh gosh,
Just
yes,
looking at him, say, man, that's a tall, handsome guy.
that
So,
definitely. And a
but
rugged looking dude for sure. So when you say you're going back with your buddy Chris, is that our good friend Chris Langlois?
oh no, Chris Anderson.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris Anderson.
I thought you were going to give me a nice setup because I wanted to talk about, Langlois and Al a little bit more because again, when we go back to the HBO clip, you know, Hollywood's gonna Hollywood. That is, the Bull Randleman episode. So Bull's kind of featured calling up the medic and listening to both Walter and Al. It happened a little bit differently. And for example, I think. Granted, everybody thinks they could make a better TV show, I guess. I think if they had actually had Al have that exchange with Lieutenant Brewer, that would have been that would have been terrific. I would have loved to see that make it uh
Yeah.
into the show. But instead, as soon as the is who's ostensibly Al, the actor gets up there, he takes a round and goes plopping down. Now, was Al actually hit during that exchange?
Yeah, he was. He got shot in the leg, I think he
Uh,
said.
well, there we go. So they got that right, but it looks like it
Yeah.
happened immediately in the HBO clip. And
Yeah.
and it preserves the drama for sure because Hubler doesn't want to move out in no way impugning the courage of
Sure.
Hubler, but and they're trying to build a tense scene. So having Al crack one of the best jokes of World War II right in the middle of it might not have been the tone they were looking for.
Yeah, probably so, probably so. But and then that's a great shot of Chris and myself and Al Manfrey. I can't remember, but that was in Normandy at the Utah Beach Museum, an event put together many years ago by the World War II Foundation.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, so Chris in his own right, Doc Rowe's grandson, he's written 3 kids books. Younger audience books, I think they would be called.
Yes, sir.
I like them myself because I don't read a lot. And
they
the
got a
thing
lot
about
of pictures.
I love pictures. I love pictures. And the key thing is with Chris's books is they're usually about 36 pages. Every other page is an illustration. You're only reading 18 pages. So I can zip through them. And I'm saying, when is your next book coming out? So, but anyway.
Chris does a great job. I want to steal another 30 seconds to shout him out because the Doc Rowe Foundation, he makes sure those books gets into schools. He donates a lot. So he's really giving back just the way you are. And the thing I love about him and both of y'all, you both have, your dad, his granddad, crowd favorites for lack of a better term, and you use the fame of your relative to tell the story, but you tell everyone's story, both of you, and it's really great.
Well, yeah, we're so blessed. We're so blessed. And yeah, so Chris actually he's done such a great job with the reunions as well. Um, on a sad note, I just want to touch on this real quick because Marianne Malarkey used to do a great job with Chris. And then I would just kind of stand to the side. It's like, okay, you guys, what do you guys need? Anything? You all set? Okay, good. I'm good. So I would be there for moral support, but Marianne and Chris always did a fantastic job doing that stuff along with Tracy Compton and then the rest of the group. But Marianne passed away this year.
Yes, sir.
Let's see, Tracy Compton's sister Cindy passed away. Did I get
I'm
that
sorry
right?
to hear that.
Yeah, Marianne Malarkey passed away. Talked to her husband Dan recently. Cindy Compton passed away, and I'm always in touch with Tracy. And Gary Carson passed away this year. His dad was Gordy Carson.
Oh, wow.
So so he passed away, and I've talked to his wife and his son recently as well. So, but yeah, so I just want to make sure we touch on those. And then, but yeah, Chris has done such a great job, such a great job.
And all the, as you point out, all the the legacy kids, grandkids, etc. You guys have remained a big family, and I appreciate you allowing me to tangentially, touch that as well. So I appreciate that. So let's keep driving on here. What do we got coming up next? We're talking
Let's see.
reunions.
Hey, so this is just another reunion, not just another reunion picture, but a reunion picture. And the lower right, the young-looking guy there, that's Buck Taylor, CIA guy Buck Taylor on the right-hand side. Right next to him, leaning in, that's Garnier. And right after Garnier is Lipton. And on the left-hand side, there's three guys on the left-hand side. The guy in the middle is Herb Seward, who was depicted in the series. He was the young replacement. And then to his left is Ed Shames. That's Ed Shames right there. And then right below him is Shifty Powers.
That's a great photo, and it's amazing. I mean, this is after the war, and they're still looking pretty young. It's because these guys were still only in their early 20s. They were teens and early 20s when they fought. So they're in their early 20s, mid 20s at the first reunions, and it's just something about that generation. And I think as we hit on earlier, the Depression, and also going through a major conflict like the Second World War, but they're there's a maturity about them while there's still a youth about them at the same time.
Oh, that's right. And when they got together, that was really key. And we've got a clip coming up a little bit, I think next, and it just kind of illustrates that.
All right, let's check it out.
Oh, let's do the Haganah thing. Yeah, let's do.
Oh, sure.
Let's do. This is the Haganah update. But yeah, so this is the clip from the series about my dad, and let her rip.
I need you to run these OP2 for me. Grenade launches for the night patrol, huh? Any day now, Webb. There you go. Hey, you know what? Send these two.
Hey, now.
3.
Did you hear what happened on the company's patrol last night? What? Replacement lieutenant blew his foot off, stepped on his shoe mine. Fresh in from West Point, had to come back empty-handed.
No shit. He was a friend of yours, Lieutenant.
He blessed, but you got in there. More Hershey bars and Lucky Strikes for your rear echelon.
Hey, Cobb, with the mouth, please. The kid's just trying to do his job, all right? Jesus Christ. You know what the hell? Trying my best. I gotta go blast this house.
You happy now?
Coming, Perko. I'll make you so people hostage check me, all right? Webb, you come with me.
Sergeant, is Captain Spears gonna be where you're gonna headed?
Same vicinity, yeah.
All right, then I'll join you.
Where are we going? To the house. I gotta blast.
Captain Winter's gonna be with him?
So anyway, so I think we touched on this before when I told you, if we go to the next clip there, that's the young kid. Not the next clip, the next photo. Yeah. So Tom Fry in the center and his lovely wife, Marion, told me the story about which building it was. And this is the building that he blasted right there. So it was great to not finally, but to find out another point of retracing my dad's footsteps is what was the building that was blasted. And then this monument over here is not the only monument, but a monument dedicated to the battles during that time. And it just says the inscription on it is, at dawn of March 16th of 45, American Army tanks crossed the Motor Canal for the divisive offensive that liberated Haganah from the siege of the German occupiers.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, so it's really cool. It's just another example of me traveling on these cool places and then retracing my dad's footsteps. And then so the next photo is the actual scene that was filmed. I didn't know if the scene was filmed. I was disappointed that they didn't use it. But just about a week ago, Tom had sent me this photo, and here's my dad blasting the building. Now, if you look all the way to the right, that looks like Lieutenant Jones, and then Luz, and then Webster. And then I think the fourth guy is one of the guys who was in that scene before, and he was the one that was killed. Ran into his own grenade or something like that.
When they're on the patrol across the waterway.
Yeah.
But this is an amazing photo. Just to know that they actually filmed the scene, and I think a lot of people understand, almost intuitively, that filmmakers will film many things and then editing determinations decide what actually gets in. But this is almost like a little holy grail picture. I've never seen this before, and y'all seen it here first, folks. At least I hope you
There you
did.
go. There you go. Well, I'm gonna ask around. I'm gonna just say, hey, I know they filmed it, blah blah blah. Is there any way I can get that shot? I mean that little bit of a clip, whatever that clip is. So,
Now, as a quick aside, we didn't discuss this before we hit record, but can you reach out to HBO and they know, hey, it's Luz, and they'll talk to you and provide you little things like this? Or do you got an in over there still?
well, kind of. I'll make a call or two and just poke around. The worst thing people can say is no.
That's fair.
I've
That's fair.
learned that. I never knew that. I never knew that, but I've learned that recently. So, you just keep asking. You ask for stuff, and then somewhere along the way, people say yes.
That's
So,
awesome. That's
but
moving on. What do we got next, George?
that's right. That's right. Let's see. The Easy Company reunions. Yes, this is a nice clip that I did with the World War II Foundation many years ago, and it just outlines what these guys are all about.
All right, let's hit it.
I was pretty fortunate because as a son, he would share them with a son where he wouldn't share them with a daughter. So, and the story that I always remember the most was the Muck and Pincala, getting killed in Bastogne. So that was a story that I always remembered. When they get together once a year at these events, it's as if it's 65 years ago. They're kids again. And they think like kids, and there's an extra little spring in their step, and it's really cool to witness that.
That's a great little clip.
Yeah, and that was so much fun. I remember just going there and, hanging Langlois and I and the rest of the kids, and we would just go sit at a table. You got Shifty and Earl and Paul Rogers and this one and that one. And you just sit there. You don't have to say anything. You just sit there. And you just listen to the back and forth. And, being a military guy like yourself, that back and forth conversation stuff is just classic. It was just classic.
And I think as you pointed out then too, they're kids again. You've got these, lions in winter, as it were. At the time, they were probably in their 70s, 80s back then, and they're still now they're 22 again with their buddies, and
Yeah.
I think that's pretty amazing. Speaking of lions in winter, like how old were you there? 30? I wouldn't even have recognized you in that clip.
So that was that was 15 years ago. So that was, I don't know, let's see.
Oh, okay, so you were only 15 then.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no.
My hair was much grayer, that's for sure. I mean, my hair was much had a color to it. It didn't have a gray color to it,
No, that was only 15 years ago, and the reason I'm not trying to call you out on it. The young soldier who was greeting them, looking at the uniform he was in, we were phasing out of that uniform around that time. So I was actually thinking it might have been earlier, but in 2010 he still could have been wearing that. So it's certainly.
Yeah, because I'm thinking 2010, around 2010, because and I could look that up just because 15 years ago is 25, and I went to public school too, so I was able to do that without a calculator.
I'm impressed, George.
With your assistance.
So, but I think we got some more reunion discussion. Let's move on and see what we got next. That was a great photo.
Yeah, this is such a great photo. I wanted to share this one with you too. I think it was 1983, but my dad is front and center with the hat on, and Phil Perugini is on his lap. And if you just kind of look, you've picked out, you see Winters over there to the left,
in that striped shirt with the white collar. I mean, he definitely still has that bearing.
Yeah, and it's just such a great group. And right in front of him is Jim Alley, and then Frank Bracani, and then Buck Taylor, Forrest Guth, Phil Perugini. Now, my dad is right. Garnier is directly in back of my father.
In the 101 T-shirt. Yep,
yeah,
you can definitely.
Yeah. And then to my father's left with the vest is Ralph Spina. To his left is Lipton. And then in front of that with the orange is Johnny Martin.
What a collection of heroes.
Yeah, Don Larkey.
Lipton is an older gentleman. He always impressed me. The way he was put together. He's like what's the term, a silver fox or something. He was just an amazing looking gentleman.
Yeah,
Very well put together.
I've got the last interview that he did. And I think we talked about that before. The last interview that he had done in Texas, in the Gordons. It's kind of a funny story in a way, and I don't know if I told it. I'll try to do it fast. So somebody in Texas is having an event. They called up Betty Gordon and said, "Hey, we'd love for you and your husband Walter to come and speak at our event." And Betty said, "Well, that'd be great, but he's dead." So anyway, Walter died. My dad died in 98. I think Walter died in 97. But anyway, so she said, "Let me plug you into somebody." So she plugged her into Lipton. And so anyway, so he went and he spoke. And then the kids, what they did was one of the kids had a phone and they were just kind of taping it this way, kind of a thing. So it wasn't really great, but you kind of get the gist of it. I should go back and look at that again.
That is cool.
It was his last speech.
That would actually be very, very interesting to see, just because it was his last
Yeah.
talk with young folks.
Yeah, it was his last speech there. So, but
When
that's
you
that one.
when you talk about Forrest Guth, there's a famous photo, and I'll see if I can pull it up, where it was they've jumped into Normandy, and they're obviously in a bit of a tactical pause, and it's the one where he's smiling, wearing the German helmet.
Yeah.
He has the exact same expression in that photo as he has in this photo. You can pick him out 40
Yeah.
years later just by that grin.
Yeah. Yeah. He was great. He was
Absolutely
great.
amazing.
His wife Harriet was terrific too. They were
Just what a amazing group of folks.
Yeah.
And then, speaking of an amazing group of folks, an amazing man, here he is in all his glory. He's got his discs on and he's got his parachutist badge on now.
Yeah, so this is a quick little clip of my dad, and he's just telling what it meant to be in the military with these guys.
My dear wife, there's no reflection about our marriage. I entered this E company in the latter of August 1942. I left it in December of 1945. Those were the best 3 years of my life.
And that says it all.
Yeah, yeah. And, all the guys like yourself that have served in combat understand that. The rest of us don't. Hey, now there's one more slide. Can you go to that next slide? This slide over here, you can't really see it, but this is a slide. This is a letter that Winters had sent to my dad. He sent it to all of the guys after the book opening in 1992. And he kind of outlines the stuff, and you can see what's highlighted. But if you can see at the very bottom of it, there's the writing. And what Winters used to do was, when he would send letters out to the guys, they would get the block letter, and then they would get a personal note. And the personal note there says, "Hey, Luz, let me get this straight. You told me that the 3 years in the military were the best 3 years of your life." Is that what I heard at the end of every day and the beginning of the next day, and the battle and this and that and all sorts of stuff? So anyway, he was kind of busting my dad on that, just meaning like, yeah, I didn't hear you saying that when we were in the middle of it, for sure. So, but in reflection, that's what he felt.
That's amazing. And that's a really great place to end this. So I kind of want to wrap things up, George, just talking with you about what's next, what's coming up for 2026.
Well, 2026, I've got 3 tours with Ambrose, a couple of Band of Brothers tours, an SOE tour. I got a lot of speeches coming up. Always looking for other opportunities to share the stories of, my dad and the men he served with. You can go to my website, which is real easy. If you can remember George Luz Jr.com, you can go to my website.
We'll make sure we put a link down in the comments as well, George. The one final question I have for you, it is tied into, you're looking for some new opportunities, and you've had all these amazing opportunities to speak lately. It's been well over 30 years since the book came out and well over 20 years since the miniseries came out. Is the appetite for Band of Brothers content, for lack of a better term, is there a new audience with every generation? Do the diehard fans want to hear the same story from a different perspective, or just the same stories again? Or is interest beginning to wane now that it's been around for so long and we've made it through like the major anniversaries?
No, you're right. You're right. With the 80th anniversary coming up, and almost all of the guys, almost there's still a bunch of guys still around to tell the stories. I'm very proud of the guys who are getting out there, guys like Andy Biggio and many others who are getting out there, getting microphones and getting these guys to tell their story. It's been fantastic. Um, but no, you're right. It's a challenge, and it's our responsibility to keep telling these stories. Um, it's the 25th anniversary this year. We'll
Amazing.
see what goes on, and I think some of the bigger places might have an event, create an event of some sorts. I think Netflix helped. I'd get it to a younger audience because Netflix ran the series for a while, but I think there's still a really good appetite based on what I'm doing because I'm as busy as ever,
Oh, that's
sharing
terrific.
stories.
And
So
and you have made a good point about Netflix. I hadn't thought about that because that's how my daughter, she's 24 now, and she got into it a couple years ago because it was on Netflix, and she's a huge fan now. She's you know, sometimes when a she's gotten through a really tough period and she's achieved something, but maybe it's come at a little bit of cost. She'll even say, "Okay, well that's not bad for Dukeman," like she'll just have little comments like that. So Band of Brothers. Easter eggs have made it into her speech. So I guess I've seen with my own eyes that it's making its way to a new generation for sure. I mean, she was a newborn when the series premiered.
Oh, without question, without question. Yeah, it's been around 25 years, for a movie like this to make that kind of an impact. Um, is great work by Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, all the writers, the directors, everybody that worked on that to make it as successful as it is, with all their hard work,
Oh,
along with my buddy Joe Hobbs.
yeah, fantastic. Well, George, thank you as always for coming out. Everybody, this has been Ben Powers coming at you from the Commander's Voice with the prolific George Luz. I want to say of the 84 episodes we've recorded, George has probably been featured in like 10 of them. And I'm happy to do another 10 or another 100 with you, George. And whenever you want to come on, you just shoot me a text and we'll arrange something.
Thanks so much. It's always a pleasure.